What's up, guys? It's your girl, Victoria J from 12th Street Talk Back, where transparency is our love language. You guys know that transparency is very important to me because I believe it's the key to bridging the communication gap. Bridging the communication gap in our community amongst our generations has been very near and dear to my heart for a very long time. And I've been working feverishly to spark the heart conversations in our community. As the world changes, people change, life experiences can change us. Sometimes it can be hard to express yourself to the ones that you love. We all suffered something during the pandemic, some more so than others. Life can be like an emotional roller coaster, and that's why I'm grateful to BetterHelp. Thank you, BetterHelp, for sponsoring this podcast. Guys, did you know with BetterHelp, you can tap into a network of over 30,000 licensed and experienced therapists that can help you with a wide range of issues. To get started, all you need to do is to answer a few questions about your needs and preferences during therapy. That way, BetterHelp can match you with a licensed therapist from their network. Then sit back, relax, and you can talk to your therapist however you feel comfortable via text, phone, video call. You can even schedule live sessions. And if your therapist is not the right fit for you for any reason, you can switch to a new therapist at no additional cost. With BetterHelp, you get the same quality and professionalism that you can expect from in office therapy, but with a therapist that is custom picked for you. More scheduling, flexibility, and the best part of all, at a more affordable price. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/12th Street. That's better, HELP.com/12th Street. I've also linked it in the description below. Let's start bridging the communication gap together. Welcome back to 12th Street Talk Back, where transparency is our love language. I am your host, Victoria J. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Look at the day that God has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. We have company today, ladies and gentlemen, all my folks in the triad. I hope you guys tune in for this special edition. We have Miss Anita Ford in the building today from Senior Services, and she's going to talk to us about some of the services they offer in the community, as well as we're going to focus in today on Alzheimer's and dementia in the Black and Brown communities. So let's welcome Anita to the show. How are you, Anita?
Hi, I'm doing very well, Victoria. Thank you so much for having me here and giving me this opportunity to share some information.
Well, thank you for coming. I loved the connection at the health fair. It was just a blessing. It was a blessing to talk to you and get all the information out there. So tell us, Anita,
Mhm.
what exactly is your role at Senior Services?
All right. Senior Services has this wonderful project that's in progress. It's called Memory Connection. So I was actually hired as a project coordinator. So I've been doing that for the purpose of educating individuals in the community, helping identify people in the community through other organizations who may live alone and may be experiencing some memory loss, as well as helping to provide support to the caregivers because it is a very challenging role as far as being a caregiver. I'm really blessed. It gives me the opportunity to use, my nursing, skills as well as being able to teach, which is what I truly, truly love to do.
Oh, yeah, great. That is fabulous. I know that we spoke about talking about the difference between Alzheimer's and dementia.
Mhm.
Um, Give us a little bit about what senior service offers for the community before we jump into that topic.
Yeah, absolutely. So Senior Services is a not-for-profit organization, and the primary focus is to help aging adults who are in Forsyth County to age in their home for as long as possible and to age with
Mhm.
dignity and purpose. So we do that through several services. We have actually 7 core services, and then we also have the Memory Connections Project. But we offer our helpline so that people who need resources can call that number and they can ask questions about what's available to them in the community. Most people are familiar with our Meals on Wheels, which has
Oh,
been in operations for over 60 years. I mean, that's the foundation of senior services. So, a wonderful program, well known. We also have Living at Home. Again, the title sort of speaks for itself. And the unique
mhm.
thing about living at home is that these individuals may be much younger than the 60-year age range that typically is in place for people to receive services. But the goal is to help them stay at home as well, because these are individuals who may be at risk of going into facilities. So they need some help to keep them at home, which is where they want to be. We also
Exactly.
have, yeah, we also have home care. We have senior lunch, which is sort of like the flip side of our Meals on Wheels. And the thing about senior lunch is those are individuals who can still get out, so they can still go to the lunch sites, and we have 4 of them. And they get together and they have a good time, some arts and crafts and learning and education and socialize and enjoy a lunch together. So we have that. We have our Elizabeth and Tab Williams Adult Day Center. Um, there are individuals that come there. It may be that their caregiver is still working and the person can't be left alone, or maybe they're having some memory loss. They may be frail, and so they bring them there to the Elizabeth and Tab Williams Adult Day Center. Again, full of activities and socialization, the care that they need while they're there. We have Creative Connections, and Creative Connections is our arts-based component. So there are
Mhm.
lots of activities, lots of opportunities for socialization. And at different times, there are different arts or different creative components that are scheduled so that people can pick what they would like to attend, come together, and just create beautiful, beautiful works of art. And then there's the
Nice.
yes, yes, yes. It's wonderful. They have a ball. And
Nice.
then yes, and then there's the Memory Connections Project. I don't know if you want me to go into detail about that right now, or if you want to wait a little
Oh,
bit
yes,
in
definitely.
regards to
Go
that.
ahead.
Oh,
Go ahead. Go
okay,
ahead.
sure, sure, sure. So Memory Connections is a federally funded project so that everyone who uses the resources, everything is covered under the grant. So that's a wonderful thing. People don't have to worry about how much does this cost or anything of that nature. It is all covered under the grant. You know, the goal of Memory Connections, I call it threefold. We're looking to identify people with dementia, including people who may be living alone and are suffering with some memory loss. We
Mhm.
also are reaching out to individuals who are at high risk. So your African Americans are highest risk of being diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease or some type of dementia 2 times as likely. The next
Mhm.
group would be your Hispanics, which is 1.5 times as likely to be diagnosed with Alzheimer's or a type of dementia. So we're reaching out to educate those high risk populations and those individuals. And we also, there's a huge component of providing support for caregivers because, again, it can be very challenging. And so we're reaching out to the caregivers with resources that are a part of the Memory Connections Project. We do this with much help from our community partners, and we have several of those who help us and are engaged with this as well. We
Mhm.
have the Maya Angelou Center for Health Equity.
I saw
There,
that.
yes, yes, yes. We also have Winston-Salem State University. Their occupational therapy department conducts what's called Better Ways. Well, let me call it what we call it. It's tailoring activities for persons with dementia. And the short word for TAP, we just call it TAP. That just makes it easy to remember. But they will actually go into the home and they assess an individual who is having some memory loss. And the whole goal is to focus on the strengths of that individual. What can they still do? And they create
Mhm.
these wonderful plans called scripts And so that enables them to work with these scripts and to have the caregiver as well working collaboratively with them. And so they become engaged and they
Mm-hmm.
focus on those strengths, because they are still able to do things. And this brings out those strengths and it is absolutely wonderful. We also have support groups, and those are overseen through the Stick Center as well as through the Memory Care Center, which is at Novant. So there are
Mm-hmm.
support groups, they're 10 weeks in length, and they go through a wonderful, wonderful curriculum, which was developed by Dr. Ed Shaw. And it is a very purposeful support group, so it's very well structured. Um, I think I have named all our partners. We also work very closely with the Shepherd Center here in Forsyth County
Yes.
because they are in contact with multiple individuals who are aging in the community. And if they feel that there is someone who can benefit from the Memory Connections project, they will also reach out to us, and we'll have a discussion and we'll see if we can help those individuals as well. So
Oh, great.
lots
Nice,
of
nice, nice.
partners.
You got your hands in a lot of stuff. Wonderful stuff. Wonderful stuff. I do know about the Meals on Wheels.
Yes.
My late mother, she received those, but I wish I had all this information back
Oh.
then. But hey, we're getting it out there to the community. That's what counts
Absolutely.
right now. So
Absolutely. Yes.
you have to help me with this because I'm a country gal. And as I was reading over the material, I said, have I been pronouncing this right? Alzheimer's, we tend to say Alzheimer's, but is it
Mm-hmm.
Alzheimer's?
Alzheimer's.
Alzheimer's, yes,
Alzheimer. You just kind of let it roll.
just
Alzheimer's. Yes.
Alzheimer's. Okay.
Yes.
So tell us the difference
Mm-hmm.
in Alzheimer's and dementia, because I know my mother, quote, and I'm doing air quotes here, people,
Mm-hmm.
um, she was diagnosed with dementia,
Yes.
but not
Okay.
quite in the Alzheimer's realm. But what is the difference for the listening audience that don't know
Sure.
quite if their loved one is teetering on either scale?
Sure. So one thing to remember when you hear the word dementia, that's an umbrella term. We call it an umbrella term because there are different types of dementia.
Mm,
Dementia in and of itself simply means that there is some memory loss, and what happens is that person is not able to carry on with their ADLs or tasks that they have previously been able to do because of the presence of the memory loss. So dementia
hmm.
is an umbrella term. You have different kinds of dementia. So Alzheimer's is a kind of dementia, Alzheimer's disease. You can have what's called frontotemporal dementia. You can have Parkinson's dementia. You can have vascular dementia. There are just
Wow.
several kinds. Some people even have mixed dementia, where they have more than one kind of dementia that's present. So the understanding is when you talk about dementia, there are different kinds. And the image that I typically give people is think of the word candy. Candy is just your umbrella term. There's all kinds of candy out there. But
Hmm.
same thing with dementia. Again, it's just a term that tells us that there's memory loss and it has in such a way impaired a person to the point that they are losing their ability to care for themselves because of the disease progression.
So Alzheimer's falls under the category of dementia.
Yes, it is a type of dementia. Yes, it is
Okay.
actually the most prevalent. 60 to 80% of people with dementia are usually diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease.
Wow.
Yes,
See, you learn something new every day. I thought it was
yes,
two different types that we were looking at here.
yeah.
So, how aggressive? I mean, what are the stages? Are they different stages of dementia that one may go through?
Hmm.
I know you mentioned earlier with the different support groups and the
Yes,
luncheons. Do you have
yes.
to be at a certain level? Because I know sometimes, well, I've heard that it takes a decrease and then sometimes it hops in and it hops out. They can seem to be functioning normal and then in a split second something else pops up. Is that something we just culturally made up? Is that something that really actually happens? Because I know sometimes we can stigmatize people. We all
Mhm.
have a little bit of memory loss.
Well, a couple of things. They can answer that several different ways. First of all, when you talk about dementia, dementia is not what we consider normal aging.
Okay.
So for individuals who are aging normally, what may happen is it may take a little bit of time, to come up with your response. You give it a little bit more thought, but there's clarity in the response with
Okay.
normal aging. Now, with
Mm-hmm.
someone who has dementia, there are different stages. It can be a mild stage, it can be more like a moderate stage, and then you have your severe stage. So for anybody that comes to the support group, it doesn't matter what stage their loved one is in because they're coming as a caregiver to learn more about the impact of the dementia, how
Mm-hmm.
to relate to their loved one who has been diagnosed with dementia, also how to care for themselves and
Mm,
how to day to day manage what's going on, to look for those resources because again it is a very challenging role to be in,
mm-hmm.
and again lots of information in regards to what is this journey like and what is it going to be like over
Mm,
time. Dementia does not get better. It does not get better. It is going to progressively get worse.
mm,
So, a big part of the support group is helping participants to understand that over time, that individuals' ability to care for themselves, ability to understand, speak, remember, all of those things are going to be impacted and eventually come to a point to where they require 24/7 care.
mm. Well, you mentioned
Yes.
that in the uh, African American and Brown communities,
Hmm.
Hispanic communities, it affects us the most. How
Yes.
so?
Yes. It's multifactorial. So there's some things that we need to look at as far as like our socioeconomic status, in regards to access to care, in regards to how we are from an educational perspective, being in the know, being able to recognize signs of, memory loss. It's not just, oh, grandma's just getting old and that's just the way it is. There are
Mm,
true signs of someone who actually has a type of dementia, and recognition of those signs is important. A lot also has to do with our health, how well we take care of ourselves. People
mhm,
who have like high blood pressure, diabetes, who may be overweight, these are some factors that come into play in regards to putting a person at risk for developing dementia. One thing that we teach people is that a healthy body promotes a healthy brain. So if you're taking care of your body and if you're monitoring, like you're exercising, and you really aren't having that sedentary lifestyle, of coming home and just sitting in front of the TV all day long, or
mhm,
things of that nature, getting up and moving and exercising and promoting that healthy lifestyle, that does help in regards to minimizing those risk factors. Now, once a person has dementia, again, there is no cure or anything of that nature, but nevertheless, those things are very helpful. Sleep also plays a big part in regards to that, and when we don't
mm.
allow ourselves the opportunity to get a good night's rest, continuously, that also puts us at risk as far as dementia. So, there's lots of different factors in regards to what puts us at risk, and because we do have some tendencies, again, with the diabetes, and again with the high blood pressure, high cholesterol, those types of things do come into play, and they do provide risk factors. They are risk factors. Hmm.
So basically, like your doctor used to tell you, milk does your body good. So make sure whatever you're putting into your body, it plays a big factor, what you're eating
Absolutely.
and your weight and all of that good stuff.
Hmm.
Uh,
Hmm. Absolutely. So
you know,
yeah, we
you
just
would
need to be
never know.
mindful. Yeah, yeah,
You would
we need
never
to be
know that. I mean,
mindful.
I never knew all of that. I certainly have. I have some weight issues I'm working on.
Oh, we all
I
have different things that we're working
yeah.
on. We all do.
I do have a couple family members that are diabetics,
Hmm.
and they were talking about recently here we were having a discussion. I think it was like maybe last summer this time of some
Okay.
memory loss. So to know that
Oh.
maybe diabetes could play a big part in that too
Hmm.
as well.
Hmm. Yes.
Um, that is definitely eye-opening because all the things that you named, I would have never thought.
Oh, yes. Hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, what about age? Like, we
Hmm.
always, when we think about dementia, we
Yeah.
think about up in age. Is
Hmm.
that something that can happen to, let's say, a 20, 30, 40-year old? And you don't
So,
have to be on
yeah.
that higher end.
Right, right. So there is such a thing as early onset dementia. And people in their 30s and in their 40s and in their 50s can actually be diagnosed with the early onset dementia.
Mm,
Um, so we don't want people to just think that you have to be 70 or 80 to be diagnosed with dementia. There is actually, again, an early onset. One of the goals that we have is to help younger people to understand, what dementia is and who can be affected. There are individuals who are caring for loved ones who have, memory loss, and it's important to get that information before anything occurs. I'm hoping that for many, many people that won't happen, but for those who get the education, who learn about this, if things ever happen and they are more aware of the presence of this disease process, it better equips them for what they have to do. So again, yes, there is an early onset, and we're trying to help younger people as well to understand that that could happen, um, and just to be in the know.
yeah. Well, is it something that is hereditary? That's the big question. A lot of people want to know. I want to know, is it hereditary? Because I was really this is the heaviest I've been in my
Okay,
life at
okay,
52, and
okay.
with some other family members dealing with being diabetics, I was concerned the weight that I gained during the pandemic
Ah,
up to now that I would
okay.
be a diabetic. And my doctor
Mhm,
said, "Well, no, I'm not worried about that, but I am worried about your cholesterol. Get some of that weight
mhm,
down." And we
mhm.
know, I'm using that example because we know sometimes diabetes can be hereditary. What about Alzheimer's, dementia, a form of dementia? Can that be something that's hereditary?
Yes, it can be. Um, it doesn't comprise like the biggest component of memory loss or dementia, but there are specific, genetic factors, that they have found that in some families there is just the prevalence of Alzheimer's disease. And so with testing, they're able to determine whether or not, individuals are at risk or they have that genetic factor for the presence in families. For some families, it is very traceable. I mean, you see it
Hmm.
from one generation to the next. And what we try to do is encourage people to get the testing done, to
Hmm.
go. There are many, many places that you can go and many, many tests in regards to getting the research done, and just having that to see how well your mind is, and what's
Hmm.
what's prevalent and what's there. So we do try to encourage people to go and to, participate in the research, because there is the need for more African Americans to step up for
Mm.
research so that the treatment can be more fine-tuned to the needs of African Americans.
Right, right, right.
Mhm.
Is there a certain age should they get involved in the research process, getting the testing done? Or
So for there's several research projects that are going on, and most of the time what they will do is they will determine what age based on which research project that it is.
mm,
For the most part, the ones that I'm more familiar with, they are dealing with individuals that are typically 55 and older. So,
okay. So maybe
mhm.
around that age start
Yes.
maybe looking at getting tested if this is something that you're concerned about
Mhm,
in your
mhm.
family history.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Mhm.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yes, it
That
is,
is a
but it's
lot.
good to know. Is knowledge is a wonderful thing, and the more that you know about different subjects and different illnesses, things that could affect you as an individual, the better off you are. Because the sooner that you notice something, that's that's wonderful because then you're on top of things. And chances of improvement, like with medical conditions, is wonderful. And with the dementia, the earlier it's diagnosed, the better off the individual is. Again, there may be some things to slow down the progression, um, and most things work better during those early stages
Yeah,
of dementia. Yes,
excuse me, that was the next question. I know that there's no medical cure for it,
correct, correct.
but there are some things that we can implicate in our life. And is that what I'm hearing you say that could
Mhm.
possibly slow down?
Mhm,
Um,
mhm. Yes. Some of the medications, that they use, try to help slow down the progression, of the
mhm,
disease. But again, when a person is healthy and doing well, that's the time to take care of the body so that the brain benefits.
mhm. So what exactly does it do to the brain when you
Hmm.
when it starts to progress, I guess? Um,
Okay. Uh-huh.
let's see, let me how I want to form this. Can it be progress quickly or something that slowly comes, or it just depends on the type of dementia?
Okay. So since Alzheimer's disease is the most prevalent, what Alzheimer's disease does is that it literally destroys the activity within the brain, within the neurons. So there are things that are called plaques and tangles that can
Mhm,
destroy the neuron internally or how that one neuron communicates with another.
mhm,
What it does is that progression of slowly destroying those, the brain begins to shrink because of that destruction. And so all of the components of the brain also become affected. A person's personality, the memory component, behavior, all of those things, hearing, sight, become affected because the brain is literally shrinking in size because of the
mm,
damage from the Alzheimer's disease. And so that's why people see these other symptoms of memory loss, asking questions multiple times and not realizing that they're doing that. One thing that we stress about a person who has Alzheimer's disease, they cannot control what's happening to their brain. They have no control over that. So the behavioral
mhm,
changes, the memory loss, eventually, forgetting who loved ones are, forgetting how to do day-to-day things, how to dress themselves, how to just do those basic activities of daily living. Those things begin to fade, because memory is fading. And so again, we try to remind people about that dignity and respect. They're still individuals, they're still people. They just cannot control what is happening to their brain. Um, so in regards to again the Alzheimer's disease, that being the most prevalent, and those are just some of the things that you see when that occurs. You also asked about different types and the progression. It depends on what that person is diagnosed with, what type
mm,
of dementia the person is diagnosed with. On average, you're talking about 8 to 10 years of caring for someone as that disease progresses. But again, it all depends on the type that they are diagnosed with in regards to talking about longevity.
mm. Wow.
Hmm.
Well, in addition to, um, you said medications can possibly slow down the
Could
dementia.
possibly, could possibly,
Possibly.
yes.
Are there some activities? I know you spoke
Hmm.
of some things that senior services provide. Is there some activities at home
Hmm.
that we could put in practice? I know I had a my best friend, she had a stroke, a hemorrhagic stroke. So
Oh,
one of her
okay.
practices is she does puzzles and stickers
Mhm,
and things to help
mhm.
the memory. Um,
Yes.
so in reference to that, something of that nature that can help
Mhm.
to be a routine in their life
Yes,
that kind of
yes.
make things click. If I don't know if I'm asking that right.
Oh, no, 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 you're good. You're good. So anything that stimulates the brain is helpful. Socialization is huge. Just having conversations with people, being engaged with people. Um, every time a person has a conversation, it stimulates the brain because you've got to think of how to respond,
Mm,
not only just verbally, but even also, facial expression and, body language and things like that. The brain has to respond and tell you how to respond. So
mhm,
the more conversation and the more socialization, the more that helps the person. You
mhm,
mentioned games, you mentioned puzzles. Yes, things that make the brain work and things that stimulate the brain. Doing new things. Some people, if they're able to and they want to learn, take a class, it could be any kind of class. It could be learning a new hobby, it could be going out and learning a new language. Um, Joining a club, just doing something different that stimulates that brain with new activity. Um, the brain is a wonderful, marvelous part of
mhm.
us, and it controls everything. It controls
Everything.
everything. So again, just keeping it stimulated. I tell people, think that you work your muscles out, work the brain out, give it things to do, and always try to be knowledgeable in regards to learning things, new things, because that helps to stimulate the brain and that helps as far as the memory and the recall, that type of thing. So yes, those are just examples of things that can be done. Hmm.
Mhm. What about the caregiver to
Yes,
someone
yes.
that is suffering from one of these
Hmm.
diseases? How would
Okay.
you encourage them on their end as the caregiver to the patient?
Yes. Yes. So several things to take into consideration. One would be, if this is new to you and you've never experienced caring for someone with dementia, the first thing would be to find out your resources. What are your resources? Educate yourself so that you know what this looks like, what's coming, things that you need to do, maybe from a legal perspective.
Mm,
We encourage people, while you have clear thought, take care of documents, get your legal documents in order,
mhm,
because when someone is diagnosed with dementia, that is not the time to try to get signatures and legal documents completed.
mhm,
Do that while your mind is clear. So I say that to anybody in the listening
mhm.
audience. If you don't
Yes,
have your legal papers, get to work. That's your task. That's
that's
the
right.
task at
You
hand.
guys
Get
get
them
to
done.
work on that
Get to
legal
work.
paperwork. And we just partnered yesterday with Choice and Champions, David
Yay.
Long. He gave
Good.
you guys some good information about free paperwork
Absolutely.
for
Absolutely.
you to be able to fill out, and they're there for your needs. So, guys, this
Mhm.
ties hand in hand with Miss Anita
Yes.
Ford and Senior Services.
Yes.
Get that
Mhm.
paperwork done
Get
while
it
you're
done.
clear,
Get it
sound,
done.
and mind.
Mhm. Mhm.
I cannot stress that enough. It has this
Yes.
whole experience since I ran into you guys last month has really opened my eyes to a whole lot of things that I thought that I was being helpful about in the community, but it's so much more because our health is important, and I can't be here to do this if
Yes.
I don't take care of half of the things that
That's
I'm discussing with you guys. So
so
get that
yes.
paperwork together.
Get it done. Do not delay. Do not delay. So that's something, that's another some that a caregiver should be aware of, and again, taking the time. There are hard conversations, and sometimes, we think, well, I don't want to do that paperwork right now. Yes, it is so vital to get it
Mm-hmm.
done and to take care of that. So that's something, those are things that we also talk to the caregivers about. Again, a large part of it is understanding the disease process and being able to help them as they journey
Mm-hmm.
through this dementia process, because there's a lot more that is to come over time. And that 24/7 caregiving requires a person to have the ability to step back and to take care of themselves,
Mm-hmm.
because you just simply have to. You when you burn out, then you are putting your own health at risk. And
Oh yeah.
so there are two people who need care, yourself and the person that you're taking care of. So you have to be able to take care of yourself and step back and have that me
Yeah.
time. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. I
Mm-hmm.
was a caregiver to my mother as well as one of my older sisters. She got the bulk of it. I got the beginning of it. And it was
Oh,
taxing. It was
yes.
taxing then because I got the beginning of
Mm,
the health falling, I
yeah.
should say. And then she got the bulk of it. And it was
Mm,
it was a lot. It was a lot on the caregiver. And you
yeah.
don't quite understand, especially with that memory loss. You don't quite
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
understand if you go back and they've done something after you finish doing something in 5 minutes, and it can be a
Yes.
little bit of frustrating. So you do have to, I did find out you do have to take a step back, let somebody
Oh,
else step
yes.
in so that you
Oh,
can have a
yes.
break because
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot. It's a lot
And
caring
that's
for
why it's so
mom.
important to know your resources. What are your resources in the community? What are your resources, as far as assistance with those documents? What are your resources as far as family? How much family support
Hmm.
do you have so that you can call on that sibling or on that other relative to come and give you a break so that you can go sit at the park, for 30 minutes, or
Hmm.
go to the grocery store or take a shower, that type
Hmm.
of thing. So know what your resources are. Don't be afraid to write things down, look at a plan, take each day one at a time to see how you're going to do things. But again, that's an important part. One thing that I also would like to mention, there's another component of the memory connections, which is called care consultation. And that's what they do. They communicate, it's telephonic, and it's up to 6 months, and they will
Hmm.
communicate with the caregivers. That's another way of supporting them to find out, okay, how are things going today? You know, New challenges. Okay, let's talk about that. Let's make a plan for that. They are walking with those individuals, through this journey. And
Hmm.
you're talking about 6 months. Overall, again, this person may live anywhere from 8 to 10 years. So they're also talking to them about what is going to come. So they are really trying to prepare them within that 6 months for what this journey looks like, the
Hmm.
challenges that they may face as a caregiver, and lots of support, lots of support. Get that support that you need so that your health is kept up as well.
Right. So we talked a little bit, we talked briefly about the Black and Brown communities and how
Hmm.
important it is for us with dementia. Do you
Yes.
have any more information that you want to put out there to lay on the hearts and the minds of specifically the Black and Brown communities? We embrace all races and culture here on 12th Street Talk Back, but we
Hmm.
did have a conversation about how it highly affects the African American and Brown communities. Do you have anything else that you can tell the community in reference to just the Black and Brown communities about
Hmm.
dementia, Alzheimer's,
Hmm.
especially dementia?
Yeah. So, a couple of things come to mind. First and foremost, be familiar with what it looks like. What are those signs? And again, there are just some very classic signs in regards to the forgetfulness. Make sure that it's not related to someone who needs glasses or maybe who just needs a hearing test. Maybe
Mm,
they just need to get those things checked, because someone who needs those, things. They may need glasses or hearing aid. They could be mistaken as, oh, she doesn't hear me anymore. She sure is confused when I talk
Mm,
to her. Just
mm,
make sure it's not something just that simple. Keep up with the doctor's appointments. Make sure that things are going well. If you suspect that someone that you love actually is experiencing a type of dementia, you're going to have to be their advocate. You are going to have to speak up for them because they may not remember things that they're told at the doctor's office.
mhm,
They may not remember certain things that are going to benefit themselves. So you're going to have to be an advocate for them. If you attend doctor's appointments with them and you realize that there is an issue or a concern, please make it known because, in the early stages, there may be some denial, and that's the time to pinpoint it and to begin seeing what resources and what treatment is available, during those early stages. Sometimes there's fear, and sometimes there is just a troubled heart, thinking
mm,
about what could come down the road, if someone
mhm.
truly has dementia. But fear cannot stop you from doing the things that you need to do, because taking things on at the early stages is going to help you down the road. So, being able to look at the situation for what it is, get the help that is needed. Um, it takes bravery, it takes courage, because again, it is going to change everybody's life.
Yes.
And the more collaboration, the more coming together as a family, the more resources, it will help to make it more manageable down the road, and even once it's diagnosed. So, working through the situation, knowing that yes, there are going to be some difficult times, but being able to work through it, see it for what it is, and being willing to, as a family or with whatever resources you have, to see it for what it is and
Mm,
to get the help that you need so that you can take care of yourself and the person that you love.
right. Definitely. Definitely. Good stuff. Good stuff. You talked about healthy eating and helping because it does. A lot of what we put in our body does help the brain. The brain, it
Hmm.
does. It moves the functions in the body.
Yes, yes.
Are there some, and you talked about luncheons, are there some
Mhm.
healthy eating programs that you offer with senior services in addition to them learning about dementia? Is it all
Mhm.
separate type thing?
Yeah, so we do have an education calendar that's online. You can go to Senior Services website and pull that and see that calendar. There are topics that do talk about healthy eating, some that are specific to dementia and healthy eating. We also can network with other organizations in the community whose that is their specialty. Yes, let's talk about what those good foods are and
Mm-hmm.
what we should be eating. And those things are going to benefit our body because, again, healthy body, healthy brain. And if we're eating healthy, our brain is also enjoying the benefits of a
Mm-hmm.
body, that is
Mm-hmm.
consuming healthy things. Yeah. So, yeah. So we do have education that's out there on our website. And again, there are many people in the community that we also can reach out to and help to get that resource so that they can go and attend those education sessions as well and learn about healthy eating.
Oh, great, 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 great. So, guys, we got our goals here. We got what we need to do. Is there anything that I left out that you might want to make mention to the
Mhm.
community about
Sure.
dementia, about
Mhm.
senior services, or perhaps if you guys have some upcoming events that's coming
Mhm.
up that if people want to reach out and talk to you guys one on one, like I found you guys at the fair. Um, just wandering around, minding other
Yeah.
people's business.
Well, there are a couple of things just to kind of wind things up. So for anyone who is in need of any type of, resource and you have questions or a need, that senior services helpline, if you don't know who else to call, you can call that number. It's 336-724-2040. And again, if you go to our website at seniorservicesinc.org, you can look and see all the different things that are out there that we offer. As far as any upcoming events, um, we have a wonderful center that is currently under construction. It's called the Intergenerational Center for Arts and Wellness.
Mm,
And it is slated to be completed in September, which is not far away.
mhm,
And it is just going to be a one of a kind type of facility. It's going to have community partners who have dedicated spaces within the building, as well as other community partners who will have shared spaces. So for instance, Winston-Salem State Occupational Therapy will have a space there. They will be helping people who have occupational and physical therapy needs. Um, we have Atrium Health as well as Novant, who will have dedicated spaces there. They will have people who come in and they may need, some medical assistance in regards to, getting physicals or that type thing. Um, there are just going to be so many partners there, and a lot of them have to do with community creativity, in regards to
mhm,
the Sawtooth Center or the
mm,
Aperture. There's going to be spaces for, acting and all types of creative classes that are going to be held there as well. So what we want to do is to purposefully provide a place that an individual can come to and have several services taken care of at the same time, as
that's
opposed to
wonderful.
going throughout Forsyth County from one place to another. This is our goal. Our goal is for our aging adults to be able to offer all of these services again in one place, but also to provide that, again, that socialization, to
Mhm,
provide that creativity, and to provide a place that they can come to and enjoy themselves, and again, receive multiple services. The other thing that I also want to mention is we have opening minds through art. That is something that is currently going on, and it's also a part of our Memory Connections project. And that is where we have younger adults paired up with persons with dementia, and they create abstract art. It is a wonderful, wonderful service, and beautiful art is created by those individuals, with memory loss. They pick what colors they want. They pick the scheme. They pick everything.
mm.
And it gives them the independence to do whatever they want to, in regards to that abstract art. And again, beautiful art is created. And I just also just wanted to mention that as well. And for persons who may be taking care of someone with dementia, don't forget music, because music touches simply just about every component of the brain.
Yes,
And
yes.
people do not, there are certain types of music that a person remembers. When you find that music, you see that person, liven up. So
Mhm.
don't forget about the importance of music with someone with memory loss. It's a very vital part, uh, and it can bring back wonderful times.
Yeah, I remember those times with my mother. I mean, she loved music, and you could tell, you could see the difference from night to day. Which brings
Yes.
me to this last question. I don't know if even if it's a legit question.
Hmm.
When I was the caregiver for my mother, I heard the phrase night fright thrown around. Is
Okay.
that something real? Is that a real phrase? And is it something that happens during the course of having dementia?
Okay. So night fright, I have to be quite honest with you. I do not know if that's the same thing as sundowners. I don't know. I've never heard that term before.
Mhm.
So I have to admit, I'm not going to try to bluff that one.
Right.
I have
Right.
never heard that before. But something that commonly happens with people with dementia, they do have sundowners. And
Mhm.
so as it's getting darker, they become more alert. They may become agitated, more anxious. And so for the caregiver who is trying to settle down for the night to get rest, their loved one is now wide awake. They may be wandering and again agitated, that type of thing.
Hmm.
Um, that is something that the caregiver has to address, because again, you've got to find that balance to where the caregiver can get their sleep and their rest so that they
Hmm.
can care for their loved one. So that may be something that they have to um, consult their medical, provider about, to see how to better manage that. There's some things that you can do as in regards to like keeping the routine the same, as far as that goes. But again, that does crop up as a concern sometimes with people with dementia, and it does have to be addressed, because it will um, very much drain the caregiver
So
if
you
that
said it's
that
called
goes unchecked.
I'm sorry,
Sundowners.
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 And I might
Yes.
have got it wrong. I might have got it wrong. But I kind of remember that phrase being thrown around, and it may have been sundowners, but I
Uh,
have seen those effects in some of my loved ones in my
mm,
immediate family. And I've heard
mhm.
their caregivers talk about some of the things that you just listed, that they're up and
Yes.
they're restless at
Yes.
night, and the caregiver, I mean, they're up in age as well. And they're like, I'm exhausted, but I have to
Mhm.
keep an eye on him. And he
Yes.
wanders
Yes.
and gets
Yes.
into things. And
Mhm.
it can be
Yes.
taxing. So
Yes.
I'm glad it's sundowner. So I'm
Yes.
going to filter this
Sundowners.
information along. I encourage everybody in the triad to take a look at your loved ones and at your
Mhm.
situations,
Yes.
and pick up on the signs. Of course, like Miss Anita said, make sure it's not hearing or eyesight before you go in and try to do a self-diagnose. But get your healthcare provider involved in this, because as you said, it is affecting our community. And the more
Yes.
education we get on it, the better we'll be able to know how to handle some situations. Eating habits. I know we all have poor eating habits.
Let's just say we have some that need to be modified.
We have some that need to be modified, but that, it's hard when they throw a burger in front of you and it's quick and easy and it's I have to admit, I don't do quite well with the fast foods as I used to in my younger days. I'm more
Mhm.
consciously aware of my veggies and my fiber and stuff. I can't go to the local fast food restaurant like I used to in my 18s and 20s. Your body, like you said about the brain being well fed, your body tells on you when you can't eat that stuff
Oh
anymore.
yeah,
Now you
definitely.
know what your
Yes.
parents knew when they were saying, when you were saying, "Oh, I want to stop at Mickey D's," and they were saying, "I can't even eat that garbage," and you're looking at them like, "Garbage, that's the best." When you get older, there are certain things that you can and cannot put in your body. Let me just say that.
Well, the difference, we previous generations, it was going home and cooking a meal. That's what you
Yeah.
did. You went home
Hmm.
and cooked. We've just kind of gotten out of the habit of that, and we convenience is more, in the forefront nowadays. But yeah, my mom, I mean, she cooked every night. That's just the way
Hmm.
it was. So yeah.
Hmm.
Hmm.
We live in a whole different generation
We
now.
do. We
I mean,
do.
even in my time, I mean, as a little girl into my teenage years, getting fast food was a luxury. It's payday. We got a little extra
Hmm.
money in the
Hmm.
kitty, and now everybody can have fast foods. But now it's the no, it's the
Yeah.
everyday norm. It's
Yeah.
processed.
Yeah.
And it's the
Yeah.
everyday norm. But you guys get your diet straight. Victoria J's gonna get her diet straight. I'm working on it. I'm a work, and I'm trying not to say I'm a work in progress, because I want to be able to have taken some steps towards
Yes.
that progress. I'm training
Absolutely.
myself this month to say I'm working on it, not a work in progress. We get relaxed with that work in progress. That gives us excuse not to work on it. So Well,
Get your
thank
get your
you.
plan together, get your plan, get your paper out and say, okay, here are my goals. Here's how I'm going to meet them and find you somebody to hold you responsible.
That's right. That's right. And my hubby's doing a pretty good job now. When we left the fair, I took several tests and did several things up there, and glory be to God, it came back great, except for my
Okay.
cholesterol. So I
Mm-hmm.
was like, yes, I just got to work on
Yeah.
just filtering what I put in. I'm not a breakfast eater. I skip breakfast. I may nibble on some lunch, but I'm a big dinner eater. So
Mm,
I've got to cut that down.
yes.
So I'm working on that. And I'm getting a little older. Your gal is getting up there in age. She may not look 52, but she is. And her body is telling her that.
Oh,
Well, it was so wonderful to have you on, Miss Anita Ford. I am so happy that we
oh,
were able to connect again
thank
and
you for the
just
privilege.
you're welcome. I'm glad to get it out to the community and for them to hear some of the wonderful services that you guys provide, as well as get educated in our community. We definitely need a little bit more of that. I am going to keep pushing this and
Thank
pushing it
you.
out in the
Thank you.
community. I may reach out with you from time to time
Sure,
to
sure.
see if you have any events going on, or perhaps, like you said,
Yes.
hopefully, if that center is open in September, I can reach out to you and we can do a 10-15 minute talk, and I can include it in one of
Yes.
my upcoming
Yes.
episodes. So just to make them aware, it's here, it's available. We have
Yes.
multiple things going on in this one space, and it's for the
Yes.
community. And anything for the
Absolutely.
community, I love. I love it.
Yes, yes. So we're looking for the completion in September, and then you have to go through the different inspections, and then
Yeah.
there will be some notice going out into the community as far as like open
Oh,
house and
yeah.
that type thing. Yes.
Well, I definitely want to be a part of that. I have to come and put my nose in
Come,
somebody else's
please
business.
come.
Well,
Yes.
thank you so much for stopping by 12th Street Talk Back. We love it. We love it. Thank you for all the information that you gave us.
Thank you
And
so much, Victoria. I appreciate it.
I'm gonna push this thing. I am really gonna push it, and I'll keep it in rotation. And anything that you want to drop me, an email or just drop on by, you're more than welcome. You're part of the family now, so
Thank you.
come
Wonderful
on
family.
over. Any information that you want to filter out to us, it doesn't just have to be about dementia. Anything
Hmm.
that you have a topic that you want to talk to the community about,
Sure.
just reach out to me, and I'll be more than happy to get together and we'll get you back on here.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, guys, you heard it here. 12th Street Talk Back got the exclusive from Miss Anita Ford herself, and she's servicing the community and giving out information for Alzheimer's and dementia that I found out is one big umbrella and it's different forms of
Hmm.
dementia. So you guys head on over to our website. All her information will be in the link below in the description. If you need anything else, you can reach me at vtsmart1@gmail.com. And if it be in God's will, we'll see you right back here again next week. Peace and blessings to you all.